All right, Joel Gausten here from joelgausten.com. I've had a lot of very interesting guests on this podcast, but few honestly have the kind of career that my next guest has had over the years. It's been very extensive, very colorful, and we'll hit as many of these targets as we can without it being a 6 hour conversation, which it very easily could be. But without further ado, it's my great pleasure to welcome joining me from Sweden at the moment, Mr. Philip Shouse. Philip, how are you, man?
I'm good, Joel. Thank you. I will try to keep my answers as concise as possible. We don't hit that 6 hour mark.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. So, for the viewer who may not know of your career, currently and for quite a few years at this point, you've been a member of the legendary metal band Accept. You've also worked with different members of KISS as well, that we'll certainly get into. But most significantly, and the reason why we're connecting is you, as of February 27th, can add solo artist to your history. You've just put out a tremendous EP called Side One. Again, it came out on the 27th on Wild Kingdom Records, Sound Pollution. One of my favorite labels at the moment. Some of my favorite records of last year came through that label. They're doing tremendous things right now. So I'm very happy to add you to my list of favorites from that label for sure. Um, First of all, congratulations on the EP. I absolutely love it.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
I guess the most obvious question is, you're a very busy person as it is. Why was now the right time to do something on your own steam?
Uh, I don't know. I think maybe it was my 50th birthday last year, and I had never done anything like that before. And my whole music career has been playing covers. It may be with the person that wrote it, but it's still covers to me with no really emotional attachment. And also, I'm a good mimic when it comes to guitar. Like I can play in some different styles, but I didn't really know what I sounded like. So I think it was really kind of an exercise for me to do something that like actually sounds like me and to find out what I sounded like. And when I'm playing my own songs.
Absolutely. So let's get into what you do sound like, because when the record came in, I'm like, oh, Philip from Accept has a solo EP. It's going to sound like Accept, right? Which would have been wonderful, but I was very pleasantly surprised by this record. For those who haven't heard it, I would say it falls within the world of Humble Pie, classic Stones,
Thanks.
Black Rose, the Steve Marriott fans out there are going to love this record. And
I'll take it, man. Thank you.
yeah, I'm as much into that stuff as I am into Accept and the classic metal stuff. So for me, it was a real treat. I'm like, oh, this is great. This is like totally up my street, sonically. So tell me a bit how, that direction took shape, because you just mentioned you're trying to figure out what your sound would be. Was going in that more classic direction an intentional thing for you from the get-go, or did it just sort of come to be?
It was kind of natural. I wasn't going for like, I didn't want it to be like a retro throwback kind of thing, but I knew it was going to sound like that because most of what I really like is from that kind of thing. So I knew it was going to have that in there. But with the songs and the writing, we didn't really have any kind of direction. Alex Rahal and I co-wrote all the songs on side one. Just wanted to write cool songs, and Brad Jones, the producer, and I kind of had the same idea. It's like, let's not plan anything. Let's just stop at acoustic work tapes and then we'll arrange those. But as far as any like instrumentation, let's not plan anything until we just get in there. So everything happened really organically. And it's going to sound like that just because that's kind of like most of the things I like in my wheelhouse are kind of that era in that vein. So it was going to go that way. But I kind of like it. It still sounds, I don't know, somewhat modern. I don't know. Does it? It might not. But I wasn't going for like old production or anything. I just kind of wanted to make a cool sounding record.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it doesn't sound super throwback as far as the production. It's very much a 2026 record, but the influences are so strong on it. It's like,
Mhm.
I mean, within 30 seconds, I'm like, or 10 seconds, I'm like, oh, okay, this is this whole thing, which I'm
Yeah.
really a big fan of. And he mentioned Alex, and if I understand, he's a Nashville guy. His band is Them Vibes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's been around a bit. And also, we should mention you have Sarah Tomek on drums
Yes.
from Them
From
Vibes, and she's
from
really kind of exploded drumming wise in recent years.
Yeah, and very, very well deserved too. I've known Sarah for since like I guess 2010 or 2011, I think, when she first moved to town. We were Aerosmith buddies. And this is
Mm.
before she played with Steven Tyler. So it's kind of like, we were doing all kinds of these. We did some shows together, some Aerosmith things together, and we became friends. And I always put Sarah on anything that I could, like when she was available, because she's so busy. She did this record like the 2 days she had off between like Erasure, Andy Bell from Erasure. So
Right.
like between tours with him, I was like, so okay, good. I was lucky to get her in there. But yeah, Sarah's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, and her playing really adds a lot to the proceedings with this EP. And I do know you're bringing this out on the road. You're going to be touring Sweden in March, from what I
Yeah,
understand. And we were talking a little bit before we started recording, but as far as drummers, you've got someone I've certainly encountered over the years. You've got Nika from the Helicopters keeping the beat for you.
yeah, which is great for me. I've been a fan of them for over 25 years now. Um, and we got to be friends right before 2020 because I ended up doing a US run for with Lucifer. I was on bass.
Hmm.
We did a run in the Southeast for 2 weeks. And so I, of course, knew them before that, but, got to be friends with him on that run. And we kept in touch, and he was luckily available and willing for the to do the tour. So I got like a Swedish like all-star band with me on this run of friends and available friends and willing. So I'm very, very lucky to have these guys.
Great. Who else do you have coming along with you?
On bass, it's Mats Rydström. I'm working on the pronunciation. That one's giving me trouble. Mats did some things with Night Flight Orchestra and Abramis Brahma, I think, a Swedish project. Matt's done a ton, and also Connie Bloom from Electric Boys
Oh, wow. Wow,
of
wow.
the Connie. So yeah, Matt's is fantastic. We've done a gig before together too over here. And on guitar is my buddy Jesper Lindgren, and he's in Velvet Insane, and he's kind of like my default manager, pretty much. He's kind of been helped me, kind of with everything. Like he and I did an acoustic run a couple Decembers ago over here. So he's been really a big part of this whole thing, getting the record out on Wild Kingdom and just, being involved in things over here. He's been great.
That's excellent. And it really seems to me, especially in the last handful of years, well, I mean, there's always been a really great rock-centric vibe out in Sweden. But I know in recent years, for example, there's that band Spiders, who are
Yes.
mates of yours, who put out an amazing record last year.
Hmm.
And of course, Nika and the Helicopters have had this long career doing that, more, I don't want to say traditional rock, but not death metal, right? It's more
Yes.
the whole
Yeah.
thing. What do you think it is about Sweden that makes it such a rock and roll place where they've got their feet planted more on that traditional vibe?
I really don't know, but there's so many good things happening here from here that are in that vein. Um, I mean, also you can say the same thing with pop music. They're kind of like they rule with pop as well and have for 50 years or so. Yeah, I don't really know, but I want to be here more and I want to find more out about that because I love being here and I just love the people, love the culture, and love the food and love the pastries and Yeah, and any excuse to come over here was great. And getting introduced to Wild Kingdom and Sound Pollution, having my record out on a Swedish label,
Right.
the tour here, and it was just like, yeah, I'll totally do that. Any excuse to be here is great.
Excellent. And I know you, from what I understand, also enjoy the non-alcoholic beer in Sweden because you have a non-alcoholic beer company that you oversee there.
Yes, it's called Rock and Roll, and it's right now it's only in Sweden. It's brewed just outside of Stockholm, and and Jesper, who I mentioned from a band, he's a partner in that as well. He was a big part in that, and it's the three partners in it, and it's only in Sweden at the moment, and we are working on some big things in the U.S. currently. So hopefully, sometime this year, it'll actually be stateside.
Oh, cool. Very cool. Very cool. I know a lot of people who are at the point in their life where they're more interested in non-alcoholic beer than the other kind. So,
And it tastes good now. It's like it used to be just swill for decades, but now the technology is so good that you can brew it or remove it without too much messing with the flavor too much. So yeah, there's a lot of good ones out there.
excellent. And, as I said at the beginning, you've had this pretty extraordinary career that's gone in many different directions. Two directions in particular, I would be remiss if I didn't hit on, would be the fact that you played in Ace Frehley's band as well as Gene's band. I had the good fortune of meeting Ace before he passed. Rest in peace, of course. And I interviewed Gene as well, so I've had
Cool.
a little bit of path crossing with both of those guys, both of whom are fantastic, friendly people, but very different people. That was immediately clear within 2 seconds of the conversation. So,
Yeah.
you've had that perspective of sharing the stage with both of those guys. How would you compare and contrast them as band leaders and how they work with their musicians to ultimately bring the best show possible to people?
What you said about them being different, Ryan Cook, who I was in both bands with, Ryan has a great way of putting it. He said the only thing those two guys have in common is that they were in the same band together. They're here and here, if my arms were even wider. No, they were both great. Gene, that was his first time doing anything kind of solo. So he was pretty much down for anything that we wanted to try. Like once he gave the okay and asked us, like, what are some deeper cut songs we can do? We were always throwing songs at him, and very few he would just outright like, nah, we won't do that one. He was game for pretty much anything. If we had the lyrics written out on a big, huge poster board for him to be on the ground, he would be down for anything. And Ace was, and we were with Gene all the time too. We traveled together. We rode to the hotel venue together. So it was like the five of us, no crew, So it was like he enjoyed being one of the guys in the band again. And with Ace, we didn't see him a lot because we all had travel separate stuff. We'd show up, he'd show up later. We traveled different. And he was a more creature of habit. He kind of liked to stick to the songs that he was really comfortable with. We could kind of nudge a new one in there every once in a while. We definitely did try. But no, they were both great to work with. And one of the coolest things I'd ever done was the Australian tour where it was both of them, and we backed. It was Ace, and then we'd go change shirts, come back up with Gene. That was pretty amazing, and some of the moments were off stage, like just sitting in an airport lounge with both of those guys. Um, there were a lot of like, between the band, like, what? How is this happening? Because Jeremy, Ryan, Christopher, and I are pretty much friends because of that band, because of Kiss. And the fact that we got to play with half the guys is pretty special and doesn't happen a lot. So that wasn't lost on us at all. How cool that was that we were getting to do all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, we did lose Ace a few months ago.
Yeah.
And certainly by all accounts, including my own, he was a very interesting guy. He was very much his own person. That's the easiest way I could describe it. Um, Having had the experience you did with him, what might be a particular moment that, when you look back on, is so definitively Ace that really sums him up for you?
Um, there was a couple things. The first time, well, we went to Japan with them right after the Australia tour. We were doing 8 shows in 4 days in Japan, and we had just landed in Tokyo, and we finally get to the correct customs line. We kind of got shuffled around, and I just kind of met him. This is my first like trip with him, and it's him and his girlfriend at the time. And there's not like any issue at customs, but the guys looking at things. Of course, there's the visas and all that kind of thing to get in the country, and there's nothing like that huge wrong going on. But the customs guy is looking at the passport, and it's like this, looking at Ace, and his girlfriend starts going, "Show him, baby, show him." So Ace goes in his back pocket, and he pulls out the 1978 Don Russ Kiss card with one with him on it, and he shows it to the customs guy, and he goes, "That's me. That's what I used to look like." And the customs guy now is holding this and his passport and his thing, and the customs guy just steps aside and lets us pass. He just used his own baseball card for a second form of ID, and that was pretty amazing. And just yeah, he like when he says, and other people say, it's like, oh yeah, he's from another planet. Yeah, I think he kind of is. He was definitely a unique person, and odd in his own ways, and it was great. He nailed it with his spaceman character. Like it couldn't have been more perfect for him. Everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Very much missed, of course.
Yeah,
Talk
huge. What
about,
a loss, man. It's a huge loss.
yeah, but talk about a body of work, that is going to inspire people to play a century from now. I mean, how lucky
Oh
was,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. That was my first major thing on lead guitar that I could do was Ace solos. It just, and not saying anything about them being easy, but it was just what I was learning, and I was able to put those two things. Hey, that sounds like what I'm playing in guitar lessons, but he's making music out of it, and really catchy, great leads. I mean, those leads are as important to those songs as the lead vocal is. Like
Right.
you don't jam the solo. You learn it. You learn Ace's lead because it's you're not going to do better than that. So no, they were it was a they're great to learn from, and he was a great player to learn from. Great phrasing, great vibrato, nothing flashy at moments, but just always played for the song.
Absolutely. And, obviously when you're not in Sweden, you're based in Nashville, I believe, these days.
Yep.
And I've had some great times in Nashville, very much a musician city, no doubt. And I understand that you're pretty active out there too. You host a jam night that's brought some interesting people to the scene.
Yeah, yeah. We for man for God, how many years? For 5 years, it was every week, pretty much. It was called the Rock and Roll Residency. Um, from like I guess 2014 to 2019, 2020, and now it's more the Rock and Roll Occasional Performance. It's not really the residency anymore, but um, what turned out a fun month. It was the idea that Jeremy Asbrock had, and turned into like this huge thing where we had Alice Cooper, we had Gene came and played, we had the guys from Deep Purple, Robin Zander from Cheap Trick, we had Lizzie and Joe from Hellstorm, Derek St. Holmes, like the Skid Row guys, Kip Winger, all those guys were around, would always come out and play, and it turned into quite a thing.
That's
Uh,
excellent.
lot of fun, lot of special times.
Yeah, it's a tremendous assortment of people, and As far as people you've shared the stage with, I obviously want to bring up Accept as well.
Mhm.
I grew up when I was a little kid on Balls to the Wall, and it's fantastic that they've had this career that is still thriving. And I would dare say, the band is at its peak now. I mean, the last handful of records with Mark have been, among the strongest records Accept has ever done. And I'm an old Jersey guy, so I remember TT Quick back in the
Oh
day.
yeah, great. Yeah.
So I mean, he's bringing a lot to it. It really seems to be a band firing on all cylinders. And you're obviously an active part of where the band is now. Having said all that, like I said, this band, was a well-known entity 45 years ago,
Mhm.
thereabouts. What do you think's been the key to, certainly being able to come back with Accept the way Wolf has and maintain that level of not only, being able to work, but keeping the brand active and keeping the band, keeping the ball in the air decades upon decades later.
Yeah, and that's a pretty wild story. It's one of the best singer swaps, I think, ever. I might be biased, but I think it's one of the best singer changes ever. Mark is just perfect.
Yeah.
And to get not only to get a new singer after Udo, but also to get a new American singer, we're a very German band, was a big deal. And is Mark has the impenetrable skin to handle that thing. Mark is a tough son of a bitch and a killer singer. And it took somebody like him to come in and go like, yeah, I'll kill this. And he did. And Blood of the Nations is one of the greatest metal records of this, I think, millennium so far, for sure. It's awesome. Um, and since then, it's had lineup changes and people coming and going. And I just think it's Wolf is the mainstay. And I think it's still putting out, I think it's just still putting out good music. Think it's still putting out good records. The records sell. The fans still are into them. When we do the European festivals, it's these huge crowds and they're all still singing along. And it's all ages.
Mm.
It's such a different thing from touring the States with that band to touring anywhere else in the world with that band. They've just got these huge choruses, these huge songs where 70,000 people are at it with you. And it's a great thing. I think it's just the work ethic, keeping going and keeping the quality high, I think is the key.
Absolutely. And I would add to that, the music is current. You know,
Yes.
there's not a throwback element. Some of the bands from the 80s, bless them, who are still able to go out there and do the festivals and have a career. They still sound very much like 85. I think Accept does that, but it's also 2025, 2026 sound. It's very
Right. There's still that thing in there, the classic accept thing, which is it can't not be. It's Wolf, behind it. But yeah, there is a modern element to it too, which is key to bringing in new people, I think, or new fans.
right. Absolutely. Well, I wish you luck with that. And, obviously I'm going to go for the low-hanging fruit at this point because your record is called Side One. So where do you envision perhaps a side two? And I know you're touring in a few days. What's the rest of your 2026 look like in general?
It's going to be except I get back from this tour and then we head right over back to Scandinavia for some shows and then do European festivals. And then except we have a winter headlining tour in Europe. And then there's something happening in between there that I just can't say yet because it isn't announced yet. But it's going to be announced very soon. It may be announced by the time this airs, but I can't say it right now. So yeah,
Gotcha.
but as then we'll see. As far as as more solo shows and more solo work, we'll see where this goes. And I definitely want to do the next thing, whatever, if it's side two or side two and three or whatever. I definitely want to do more of this.
Yeah, I really hope you do, because as I said, it's a fantastic sounding record.
Thank you.
It's getting a lot of play here. When I post this video, I'll include all the links for people to check it out. I know there's a video as well. I will put that in there. And I would just encourage people to check this out. If you're a fan of Accept, you're gonna love it. If you're more into the traditional rock, you're gonna love it as well. And I just wish you well with the record and the upcoming tour and what's to come with
Thank you.
Accept. And
Awesome.
it's always a pleasure talking to somebody who's this well traveled, who still keeps the ball in the air and is still moving forward. And I just wish you well in doing that. And with a bit of luck, our paths will cross again.
Yeah, man. Thank you, Joel. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.